the only people with the sense to steer the ship back in the right direction. That's who gets his ire. And compare the way he talks about the left compared to when he has a criticism of Trump.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Kyle Kulinski does not take his foot off Joe Rogan's neck, and he hasn't for a while now, especially since Joe Rogan went out of his way to support Trump and even go to his inauguration. That's not just mild support, that's a full-on endorsement. And Kyle is somebody who's been on the Joe Rogan show, so he has some credibility in calling him out, and he would even go on to call Joe a vile and disgusting propagandist. It gets pretty wild. Let's watch these clips, and I'll give my thoughts on it afterwards.
That Joe Rogan, at this late date, would have a teeny tiny bit of humility when it came to politics. This is a guy who originally said, I don't want to interview Donald Trump because I don't want to help him out inadvertently. I don't want to rehabilitate him. I got no interest in doing that. He went from that position to, yes, I want to talk to him, to, I'm going to give him a hot stone massage on air, to, I'm going to endorse him and go to the inauguration. Then he went to, I don't know if it's actually a good idea to totally get rid of due process for immigrants, bro. I feel like that might go like a little too far, bro. So he was a Trump writer. Then the shit hit the fan, and he tepidly, tiny criticism, and then he runs away, right? And he does the classic trick that everybody in MAGA does, which is when something bad happens, you just broadly, generally criticize the thing mildly, but you don't bring up Trump, and you don't go to town on it, right? And so even after all this, you think Rogan doesn't know he's wrong? You think Rogan doesn't know that Trump bombing Iran was fucking bullshit and stupid? You think he doesn't know that? You think he doesn't know that rounding up people at the fucking Home Depot is bullshit? He even mentioned that on his show that, I don't think it's a good idea to do. And even after all that, the humility, nowhere to be seen. The curiosity, nowhere to be seen. Now he's just a standard, boomer Facebook conservative, right? Well, here he is after all this time, and he's still shitting on the left. Here we go. Watch.
It seems like there's like two factions in what I would call like the American left right now. There's the reasonable people that are like, hey, we got to just stop being crazy. Mm-hmm. Like the Bill Maher's and a lot of other folks like that.
Bill Maher, the guy who's openly supporting a fucking genocide being live streamed in 4K. Yeah, let's not be crazy. Let's be more like the genocide supporter. Oh my God. God, he's such a fucking boomer. Holy shit. This gets worse, by the way. I hope you're sitting down.
They're like, we got to stop being crazy and just appeal to like rational people. Don't go all the way over there. Stick where most people are. And then there's people that, we got to go further left. Then there's people like, we got to go over Tesla dealerships. We got to light cars on fire. The left is like justifying spraying Nazi swastikas on cars. Like, this is crazy.
Because the owner of said cars was doing Nazi salutes at the inauguration. That's why they were doing it. Not because they support Nazis. Okay, oh my God.
They've gone so far over this. So there's one side that's just like radicalized in the worst way possible. That's a huge detriment to the Democratic Party because it makes everyone look like a psycho. If you have a psycho in your groups, like if you have like a white nationalist, Christian fundamentalist burning down black churches and he says, I'm a part of the right, and as a right-wing conservative, like, whoa, that guy poisoned the right. These people are poisoning the left.
Totally.
All the people that don't want trans kids competing with their kids in school and they don't want gender ideology being taught in class, all those people are just rational, normal liberals that have voted Democrat their whole life. They're like, what are you doing? Why are you letting guys into the women's room? This is crazy. A guy with a beard and a dress is in the women's room. This is bananas. Like, what are you doing? And then
it's so incredible what he thinks of when he thinks of like the far left and how they're destroying everything. The so-called far left, you know what they're doing right now, Joe Rogan? They're the only people in the country protesting a fucking genocide, protesting the starving of babies right in front of our eyes. That's what the so-called far left is doing. You know what else the so-called far left is doing? Trying to make sure that the president you fucking support stops rounding up innocent people and sending them to a concentration camp in El Salvador. That's what the so-called far left is doing. They're the only people protecting the best parts of this country. You know what the far left is doing? Trying to stop the damage that your boy, Elon Musk, did when he cut pediatric cancer research and cut Meals on Wheels. They're fighting to try to keep that grant money flowing and keep the research going for cancer for kids, to treat cancer for kids. That's what the so-called far left is doing. He makes it seem like the far left is out there doing these massive protests like, we need more women with beards in bathrooms or something. Like, what? You're in your own head, bro. You've taken like the comic book caricature of what a lefty is, and you run with it. You're running with like what Jesse Waters' idea of a far leftist is. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, and you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm in these left-wing spaces. People are like, hey, let's stop wars. Let's stop the genocide. Let's give everybody health care. It's kind of crazy that we live in the richest country in the world, but we don't have universal health care, and seemingly every other country was able to fucking figure that shit out. Oh my God.
Game of compassion. Like, this is fucking insane. That they have to figure that puzzle out. Because right now they lost to Trump, and they're in this scattered thing where they're trying to shit on everything he does, hide all the good stuff.
Hide all the good stuff. What good stuff, Joe? What fucking good stuff?
Calling someone, especially Joe Rogan, a Facebook conservative is pretty funny. But I think that terminology is very good and specific. Because if all your news comes from Facebook, you live in a different reality. And by and large, Twitter as well. The way these algorithms work is that they try to guess your ideology and only force feed you that. If you're not careful, they're gonna lock you into an echo chamber. Even if you didn't mean to, even if you're just looking for information about what's going on in the world, Twitter and Facebook is gonna lock you into what they think you support. So if you support Trump, or if you're kind of a conservative, they're gonna fully feed you only that side. So your perception about reality is going to be different than everybody else. So Joe Rogan might not see the reality of what was going on because he surrounds himself with right-wingers, people who think punching down is comedy. And even if he's not an official billionaire at this point, he's probably only halfway there. Around his friends, quote unquote, he is a billionaire. Everybody that surrounds him either works for him or wants to work for him or just wants to be on his show. So he never gets the truth about anything. And it's telling because Joe Rogan never mentions anything economics based when it comes to the left. He never talks about public transportation or housing or healthcare for everybody because those things don't affect his life at all or emotionally. So he doesn't see any of that. It doesn't come across his timeline. He's never going to see any homeless person on the street because he lives on a compound. So he doesn't even see people that aren't working for him or aren't in his comedy club. So he doesn't communicate with regular people anymore. He's multiple years removed from that. He's in his own echo chamber, and it's tough to say that he's dumb because of that. I think he's just fully brainwashed. We're really seeing what an echo chamber does, and Joe Rogan is the example.
Is the good stuff the fact that inflation is now skyrocketing? Is the good stuff the fact that the economy is now slowing down and we're entering a recession? Is that the good stuff? Is the dumb trade war with all of our allies, is that the good stuff? Is the rounding up innocent people and sending them to a concentration camp? Is that the good stuff? Is the good stuff illegally bombing Iran? How about illegally bombing Yemen? How about illegally bombing Somalia? Is that the good stuff? What's the fucking good stuff? Illegally invading California using the Marines? Is that the good stuff? What good stuff? There's no fucking good stuff. Stop fucking gaslighting us. There is no good stuff. Oh my God. I'm still not done. See, he can't help himself. Here he goes. Again, shitting on the left.
The weirdest thing to me is that we're in this complete shifting of the polls where the Republicans now are in favor of free speech. The Republicans want to end the wars. They want to stop contributing to foreign countries. They want comedy.
Trump is literally trying to silence and imprison everybody who disagrees with him. If you're a news channel, he's suing you or cutting your access to the White House, to the press pool, all of that, removing funds. We see that with Colbert, which I'm not saying it's a bad thing that he's off TV, but it being because he's critical of Trump is crazy, especially since Joe Rogan is now saying that the right and the MAGA are the free speech people. That's never been the case. Their version of free speech is calling people names. Okay, now you're able to do that. But if you speak against the president, your dear God King, or a different country who funds him, they should be able to round you up and send you to a labor death camp around the world. That's free speech? Not at all.
To be comedy again.
Somebody's got to take his mic away from him, bro. I'm sorry. That's the point we're at. Somebody's got to take this dumbass's mic away from him. He has no idea what he's talking. Oh, the Republicans are the ones that are anti-war now. All the Republicans were cheerleading the bombing of Iran. The illegal and offensive bombing of Iran, a country that didn't attack us, and they weren't even building a nuke, despite the lies that the regime tells. All the Republicans fell. Did you see the poll? Did you see the fucking poll where they asked the MAGA base after Trump did the bombing, hey, do you support this? It was 94%. 94%. And Democrats, it was like, I forget what the Democratic number was, but it was super low. It was like 10% or something like that of Democrats, 8%, whatever it was, supported that. So how on what planet is it, oh, the Republicans are anti-war? Trump already, he's been in office 6 months. He's illegally bombed Yemen. He's illegally bombed Somalia. He's illegally bombed Iran. On top of his first term, increasing drone strikes over 400%, occupying Syria and stealing their oil, trying to coup Venezuela. There's no part of this man that's anti-war, and there's no part of the Republican base that's anti-war. They're all pro-war, and you're a fucking idiot for pretending like they're anti-war. And then he was Republicans are for free speech. Are you? This is at the same time, the president, he supports, sued a pollster over a poll he didn't like. You're going to have the nerve to say he's free speech? When he sued CBS because of how they edited a Kamala Harris interview. He sued Simon & Schuster, the book company, because there was a Bob Woodward book that quoted him and he didn't like the quote, so he sued them. This is the guy rounding up pro-Palestine protesters, arresting them. Mahmoud Khalil, Rumeysa Ozturk. You're going to say this motherfucker is free speech? He sued CNN for $475 million because CNN said when he denied the election that was the big lie. He said, you can't use the term the big lie. I'm suing you for $475 million. This is the guy, and you're seriously going to pretend this guy is pro-free speech. We've never seen a more anti-free speech president in American history, nor a political party that's more anti-free speech. They fucking despise free speech. They despise free speech. And you have the nerve to fucking sane wash the Republicans and MAGA and Trump, and that's what Joe Rogan is doing. He sane washes them. And, if you're pro-free speech, if you're anti-war, you got to vote Republican. Oh, wait, what's that? They have the exact opposite position of the one I pretended they had? Oh, my bad. But he's such a fucking vile, disgusting propagandist. Like, if you're going to talk about these things, you have a responsibility to know what the fuck you're talking about. And at least, I've had a lot of criticisms of Andrew Schultz. At least Andrew Schultz has the fucking common sense to realize, oh shit, we veered this car into a ditch. When we interviewed Trump, we didn't hold him accountable, and now he does all this fucked up shit. So now, at least Andrew Schultz, he's not admitting he did anything wrong by supporting Trump, but at least what he's doing now is he's going, find me a bunch of liberals to come on because I got to clean up my image here because I look like a MAGA fucking hack after what I did with Trump. Now, instead, here you get Joe Rogan. He's still fucking riding this bitch into the rocks, dog. Riding this bitch into the rocks. Still shitting on the left as MAGA burns down and destroys this fucking country. He keeps shitting on the left. The only people with the sense to steer the ship back in the right direction. That's who gets his ire. And compare the way he talks about the left compared to when he has a criticism of Trump. Never mentions Trump name, fucking soft pedals the shit out of it. But when it's the left, oh, these people are crazy, bro. They're so crazy, bro.
Democrats have developed this sort of like cult-like idea of what everyone should accept and what's normal and what's not normal and what needs to be elevated in our population.
All I see the Democrats doing right now is trying to release the Epstein files. You know, the thing that you pretended to believe in until it turns out the president you supported is in the fucking Epstein files, so he's trying to hide it because he doesn't want his name to get out there, and now you're not saying shit about it. That's what the Democrats... Ro Khanna has been out there trying to get the Epstein files released. And instead of giving credit where credit is due, you come up with some bullshit. Oh, the Democrats want to, control you in this weird way? What the fuck does that even mean, Joe? What does that even mean? You don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Not only is he not saying anything about the files, he brought on Kash Patel, the FBI director, to continue the lies and to spread it, to push it. Joe Rogan moving to Austin was the worst thing to happen to his channel, to his show, because it used to be about interviewing interesting people. But since he's not in the place where interesting people are, now it's just an echo chamber of ridiculousness. Literally propaganda for the state. In the worst way too, because people still believe in Joe. So it's kind of tough. But also, is Joe really talking about cults? And not talking about the people who are abandoning their friends and families just to fly a flag and wear a red hat? That stands for nothing that benefits anybody but the richest people in the world? Is that not a cult? Come on. Joe is definitely a prime example of how isolation and hundreds of millions of dollars makes people the worst versions of themselves. I hope one day he's able to look back and see all the damage he's causing. And a lot of this could be resolved if he goes on a full-on tangent and run on talking about removing money from politics, because lobbyists are the biggest problem in our world. Getting away from and staying away from team politics and focusing on a specific issue, money in politics, which is corruption. If you're just against corruption, it doesn't matter what team you're on. But if you want to see Mehdi Hassan shit on a lobbyist right to his face, then click this video. Peace.